All right. So on to financial accounting. Talk about endurance principles. All right. We are in week 11, right? So today should be finishing up some preparatory work on chapter 7, doing the quiz in on Wednesday, right? Getting through these quizzes and then starting on chapter 8. I'm not sure about you, but I'm curious about this pattern where you prep, let's say on Saturday, Sunday, a little bit more on Monday, and then you take the quiz on Wednesday, and then it kind of goes that cycle. I wonder if that's a better cycle than starting off with prep on Monday and then taking the quiz on Saturday. It's definitely it switches the mind a little bit in terms of how you pace it throughout the week. But anyway, week 11. So your quiz is on chapter 7, and then you'll start chapter 8. And you have an ethics assignment that's due at the end of this week. Now remember, I think I put this in this assignment as well. Yeah, okay. I've put a very clear approach to doing this assignment, okay? You would be well advised to follow that approach, unless you have a better approach. Now, some of you are pretty clever and very, I don't know, creative in your approaches. And so as long as you can address these questions in your approach, no problem. But if you're struggling, which, often I do when I start an assignment like for example, programming class, you have a task to do, but have no idea how to get started. Well, this is a nice framework for you to understand, okay, well, I've got 5 things I got to do. They're not that hard, just a couple of sentences with a journal entry, right? And if I do that, then I'm gonna get full grade on this assignment. And so this is what I've attempted to do to help you kind of structure a memo from you to me being your accounting supervisor, and you're going to describe to me very quickly what the problem is here, right? What the impact is, what should have happened, what you need to adjust, and then what you need to do in the future in a closing statement. Now, in this one, I'll tell you right up front, problem is that part of the $1 million should have been capitalized, meaning that it should have been recorded to an asset account versus all of it to an expense account. And this pretty much tells you how much should have been capitalized, right? That means recorded to an asset account. So that's the easy part, theoretically, right? The problem is pretty self-identified up here. What should have happened is just, instead of everything being expensed, part should have been capitalized, coded to an asset account, and part should have been expensed, coded to an expense account. You should identify that numerically, right? Not subjectively, not qualitatively in your writing. You should clearly identify how much should have been coded to the asset account and how much should have been coded to the expense account. And then because it didn't happen that way, you need to show effectively a journal entry that reclassifies the amount that was coded to the expense to the asset account. That's a simple journal entry, right? It's a debit to the asset account and a credit to the expense account. Beyond that, you'll have to put the values in there and it should be easy, right? But then the real question then becomes, well, now what is the future expense? Meaning, what is the future depreciation that is now going to be recorded based on this repair, the extraordinary repair? Now you have to follow this paragraph very closely, right? Your company purchased equipment in year 5. Kind of ignore what year, okay? Because it doesn't matter what year you bought it. What matters is that you bought it for $2 million. It had a useful life of 10 years. And then in year 10, which is really 5 years after this, right? So you have to like bring this all back to year 0 and then bring this back to year 5. So in year 5, the company spent an additional million, of which 400. See, I'm giving you the answers in some of this. This is verbal. I'm not gonna show you to visually, because then it'd be too easy to do this project. 400 of it was ordinary, meaning it goes to expense. Like 600,000 goes to extraordinary, which means it goes to an asset account, right? That's what it should do. So what you end up having is $2 million worth of an initial investment plus $600,000 worth of an initial investment, or excuse me, an extraordinary repair, which takes the total basis of $2.6 million. But problem is 2 million minus 5 years worth of depreciation, right? So because you went from year 5 to year 10, right? So effectively, because $200,000 was depreciated over 10 years, so $200,000 a year had been depreciated. So effectively, by the end of year 10, you have depreciated $1 million worth of the asset, right? So that means you have a $1 million net book value for that asset. That $1 million is then added to by $600,000. So you have a $1.6 million net book value. That $1.6 million is now divided over what period of time? Now, this part I'm not going to tell you, but you know that you had 10 years initially, you depreciated for 5. And now the question is, how long did the extraordinary repair extend it? So that's the real question, right? And I can point it out, but I'm going to let you figure it out. It's pretty easy. And then so that remaining useful life is divided into the net book value, the revised net book value, and that's your depreciation, your revised depreciation each year over the next however many years, right? That's what you should be answering here. Okay, so make sure you show that calculation. It can be as simple as, original basis minus depreciation plus extraordinary repairs divided by remaining useful life plus the extended useful life, right? So that number gives you a depreciation value of X. That is what's recorded on an annual basis going forward. Okay, so hopefully this gives you a little bit more context about how to approach this assignment. And I look forward to seeing it. Now, remember, you can submit it once, get whatever grade you get out of it. I'll give you some feedback. Hopefully it's minimal. And then you may submit it once after receiving your feedback from your instructor. So you can resubmit it and I'll regrade it, but I'm only going to do it once. I'm not going to do it 3-4 times. Okay. So make sure, if you can, get the first one perfect. If not, slightly imperfect, then I'll give you some feedback and then you can make it perfect and get 100% on that. Okay. All right. Yeah, they just reiterate that twice. Interesting. Anyway, maybe I did that.